Did you know that Julius Caesar, after defeating King Pharnaces of Pontus in a battle that lasted mere hours, arrogantly declared, "Veni, vidi, vici, I came, I saw, I conquered"? Julius Caesar was no ordinary man. His military prowess was unparalleled, and he wasn't shy about flaunting it. After his swift victory over King Pharnaces, he sent a triumphant message to the Senate, boasting of his conquest. His audacious declaration, "Veni, vidi, vici," was more than a statement of fact. It was a bold proclamation of his dominance, a testament to his indomitable spirit, and a clear sign of his growing arrogance. Caesar had become a force to reckon with, a commander whose name echoed in the halls of power, instilling both awe and fear. But this arrogance, coupled with his growing power, would soon lead to his downfall. As Caesar's power grew, so did the fear within the Senate. Imagine a man, once praised for his leadership and reforms, slowly transforming into a figure of dread. Julius Caesar, the triumphant commander who had once vanquished King Pharnaces of Pontus, began to exhibit a growing arrogance that alarmed those around him. His military prowess, once a source of pride and security for the Roman Republic, started to become a symbol of an impending dictatorship. Caesar's actions were increasingly dictatorial, defying the conventions and expectations of the Senate. He was no longer content with sharing power. He wanted to hold it all. His audacious move to declare himself as dictator for life was a blatant violation of the traditional Roman political system, which was based on a balance of power and shared authority. As if this unconstitutional power grab wasn't enough, Caesar began to cultivate a divine-like persona. He positioned himself not just as a political leader, but as a godlike figure, deserving of reverence and absolute obedience. This was too much for the proud Roman senators to stomach. Their republic was founded on principles of shared power, of checks and balances, of human, not divine rule. This divine posturing, this audacious power grab, this disregard for the Senate's authority, all culminated in a growing opposition among the senators. They viewed Caesar not as a savior, but as a tyrant, and they began to fear for their republic, for the ideals and principles it was founded upon. Beneath the grandeur of the Roman Senate, in hushed whispers and secretive meetings, a plot began to take shape. Friends and enemies alike, united by their fear and opposition to Caesar, began to conspire. They sought to save their republic from what they perceived as Caesar's tyrannical rule. The seeds of conspiracy to save the republic from what they perceived as Caesar's tyrannical rule were sown. Among those who sought to save the republic were Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus. Now, this wasn't a small feat. It required meticulous planning, cunning, and the willingness to betray a friend. It was a conspiracy that would echo through the ages. Longinus, known for his military prowess, was a staunch believer in the republic. He feared that Caesar's growing power was detrimental to Rome's democratic traditions. He saw Caesar's self-aggrandizement and unconstitutional power grab as a threat to the republic's very existence. Longinus was the spark that ignited the conspiracy, but he couldn't do it alone. Enter Brutus. The son of Caesar's mistress, Brutus was regarded as Caesar's close friend and protege. Yet Brutus was also a devoted republican. His heritage, dating back to Lucius Junius Brutus, who expelled the last king of Rome, made him an emblematic figure of the republic. The involvement of a figure like Brutus lent the conspiracy an air of legitimacy. Together, Longinus and Brutus began to weave a web of treachery, gathering like-minded senators and laying the groundwork for their plot. They planned in whispers and hushed tones, their meetings shrouded in secrecy. The conspiracy was a dangerous game, and they knew the stakes. Failure would mean not just their downfall, but the end of the republic they held dear. The conspirators were an unlikely, disparate group, united by a common cause, to save the republic. They were senators, friends, and even allies of Caesar, driven to drastic measures by his unchecked power and divine-like persona. They believed they were acting in the best interest of Rome, to free it from the shackles of tyranny. As the Ides of March approached, the plan was set. The conspirators were ready to strike. They had their daggers hidden, their alibis prepared, their resolve steeled. They were ready to commit an act that would reverberate through the corridors of power and etch itself indelibly into the annals of history. The stage was set for a plot that would change the course of Roman history forever. On the Ides of March, 44 BCE, the plot was put into motion. The day dawned as any other, but for Julius Caesar, it would be his last. This was the day chosen by the conspirators to make their stand, to save the Republic from what they perceived as Caesar's tyrannical rule. Caesar arrived at the Senate, unaware of the storm that was brewing. He was a man of immense power and influence, his arrogance and self-aggrandizement having earned him many enemies. Yet he also had many friends, some of whom were part of the conspiracy against him. It was a tense day, the air thick with anticipation and fear, the Senate heavy with the weight of what was to come. As Caesar took his place, the conspirators, led by Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus, readied themselves. A sense of dread hung over the Senate, a silent countdown to the moment that would change history. And then, the moment arrived. The conspirators moved swiftly, their actions a blur in the chaos of the moment. The first blow was struck, and Caesar looked on in disbelief as his friends and allies turned on him. One by one they stepped forward, their daggers finding their mark. With each stab, the strength drained from Caesar, his shock giving way to realization and finally acceptance. And then Brutus stepped forward. This was the man Caesar considered a friend, a confidant. But as Brutus's dagger plunged into him, Caesar's world came crashing down. "Et tu, Brute!" he reportedly uttered, his voice barely a whisper in the din of the Senate. The betrayal cut deeper than any dagger ever could. With the final blow from Brutus, Caesar fell, marking a pivotal moment in Roman history. His reign had come to an end, his life snuffed out in a whirlwind of treachery and bloodshed. The Ides of March would forever be remembered as the day when the mighty Caesar fell, a day that would send ripples through the annals of time. Caesar's death was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new chapter in Roman history. His assassination set off a domino effect, triggering a series of events that would forever alter the course of Rome. In the immediate aftermath, the public reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Caesar, despite his controversial decisions and growing arrogance, had implemented reforms that benefited many Roman citizens. His sudden death left a power vacuum and with it, a state of chaos and uncertainty. This was quickly exploited by those seeking to fill the void. A power struggle ensued, with various factions vying for control. Among them were Caesar's allies, Mark Antony and Octavian, who sought to uphold Caesar's legacy and secure their own positions of power. Antony, a skilled orator, swayed the public sentiment with a stirring eulogy at Caesar's funeral. He painted Caesar as a martyr, a champion of the people, betrayed by the very republic he sought to protect. This sparked public outrage against the conspirators, leading to riots and the eventual exile of Brutus and Cassius. Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, was a cunning strategist. He skillfully navigated the political landscape, eventually eliminating his rivals and seizing control. He established himself as the first Roman emperor, ushering in a new era of autocratic rule. This marked the end of the Roman Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire, a period of unprecedented expansion and cultural development. It was an era that would shape the course of Western civilization, leaving a profound legacy that continues to resonate today. But perhaps the most enduring legacy is Caesar himself. His life and death became a symbol of ambition, power, and the fragility of republics. His story has been immortalized in literature, art, and popular culture, serving as a cautionary tale of the dangers of unchecked power. Caesar's legacy lived on, shaping Rome and the world in ways that still resonate today. In the wake of Caesar's death, a question lingers. Consider how Rome's history was forever altered by the fall of this seemingly invincible ruler. Imagine a world where the Ides of March held no significance, where the conspirators failed, and Caesar's rule continued unchallenged. What if the course of the Roman Empire had veered down a different path? What do you think would have happened to Rome if Julius Caesar had not been assassinated? Share your thoughts in the comments below.